All right. Good day, everyone. Please, as you are joining the stream, let me know who is joining and which platform you're joining from. We're currently streaming to 7 platforms, so I would love to know where you are joining from. I can see 4 people already on the call. So drop in the comments. Let me know where you're joining from, which platform you're joining from. I can see that we are 5 now. Please let me know who it is, your name, and where you are joining us from. Please. Thank you. Why is this? In the next 1 minute, we'll get started. I would love if we could be sending messages in the comments so I know who is here and what platform you are joining us from. Okay. All right. So It's 2:05 p.m. from my hen, and I'll just get started. As you're joining us, let me know where you're joining from. Like, I mean, the platform you're joining us from. Yeah. Today's conversation, I as we can see the title of the stream, it is Simple Boy Big Dream. I really want to talk about, or I want to talk to people who are teenagers, who are in their 20s, and perhaps people who are in their 30s. So if you are someone who is past these ages I mentioned, this conversation might not be primarily for you. But if you're within the ages of 13 up to, let's say, 39, you are the ones I want to talk to, especially if you are an African. Simple Boy Big Dream. Using myself as an example for this conversation, it was the year 2020 when I, for the first time in my life, had this idea, this nudging that I would be a millionaire in my local currency, the Nigerian naira. That was the first time ever I had that nudging that I would be a millionaire. However, it didn't make any sense to me because my reality at that point in time was not palatable. It was like lifetimes away from the reality of me being a millionaire. That's how different my life was. So early 2020, I had this idea. For those who are spiritual like me, I had the voice from God that I'll be a millionaire by the end of the year 2020. Now, this 2020 was also the COVID year. Now, I think I was 18, yes. I was 18 going to 19, but I was 18 in that period. And I looked at myself. This was me, that if I had 1,000 naira on me, I felt on top of the world. Like if I had 1,000 naira, I didn't feel any need for comparison. I felt like I was sufficient enough that I'm okay. Now hearing that I would be a millionaire, this meant that at least 1,000 times more than what I was comfortable with was going to be my reality before the end of the year, at least. It sounded ludicrous, it sounded ridiculous, rather. But I, I decided to calculate how much I would need to save every day to have made my first million Nigerian naira before the end of 3 years. That was my thinking. Only for it to fast forward to September 2020, this idea, this voice came around January, February 2020. Fast forward to September 2020, I was still 18 years old, and I actually did make my first million. Now, there was no rich uncle, there was no political plug, there was no gambling. If luck had to play, God and I generated the luck, but I was 18 and just a teenager with a phone. I had a very despicable phone then, with a phone and burning desire or fire in my heart. That was all I had. And yet I made my first million September 2020. Now, while there is a good news there, while that is a very beautiful testimony or a beautiful situation, a beautiful happening, it was in that moment or later down the line that it dawned on me that I had done myself a huge disservice. Like I had shot myself in the foot. I'd chosen the bare minimum. And even though it happened, it wasn't, that was the least of what was possible, of what was supposed to happen. And now let me explain that to you. What the voice or the idea was telling me was that I would be a millionaire by the end of the year. 1 million is million, 100 million is million, 900 million is million, 999 million is million. But still, I choose 1 million. And I didn't just lessen or choose the least amount, I also choose the highest amount of time possible. That's to show you that if you think small, if your mindset is small, if your mind is small, the best you can do is to have small results. So, a simple boy with a big dream must have a mindset not necessarily that looks like his environment, but much more that looks like that big dream, much more that looks like that big future. Making the millions or the billions is the easy part. Becoming the person who can make the millions or the billions is actually the real work. So, like I said, 2020, the year of the COVID, I made my first million, and it was not by gambling, it was not necessarily luck. There was thinking involved, there was acting involved for it to be possible. And so, what I'm trying to do with this conversation today is to show us, remember, I'm talking primarily to those within the ages of 13 to 39. I've come to tell you that it is actually possible for you, that it's possible to do great things from a small place, that it's possible to be great from a small place. Yesterday, we had a conversation that basically bordered on becoming globally relevant from where you are. This discussion today is like a step further from there. You need to realize that in the year 2020, where I did this amazing feat, according to some people, there was no manual necessarily, there was no role model, but there was one thing I knew that I had, that I've seen that many young people waste today. And that thing is a productive mind. Many of us complain of how we weren't born into the best of circumstances, how we wish we had a better starting point in life. We wish we had rich parents, a rich background, etc. But then I have come to realize at a point in my life that yes, well, no parents are responsible for the starting point of my life. Whatever my life would amount to will be based on my decisions. It will be based on the actions, on the steps I take. What has happened in the past has happened. What the future will look like now is now fully dependent on me. Because at the end of my life, there will be no one to blame for the actions I took. There will be no one to blame for the decisions I made. It doesn't matter who it is that counseled me in the moment. At the end of life, or whatever the result of my life will be, it will be solely my responsibility. So, enough of the blame game of your parents, of leaders in government. Enough of that blame game. Let's let's make something of ourselves. Let's become so powerful as individuals, as a community, that the government is forced to recognize and collaborate with us. Moving on in my discussion today, I I was having a conversation on Sunday with a group of people, and the theme of the topic they gave me was the young productive mind. And I feel like it pertains heavily to the conversation we're having today. I want to make briefly a case for why your mind is your biggest asset. See, the truth is, you can be stripped of anything but your mind and its content. You can lose all your money, you can lose all your family members. I'm not wishing that, but it's a possibility. But one thing that stays with you amidst it all is your mind and the content of your mind. And someone might be thinking, okay, what about something like dyslexia or amnesia? The truth is, deep down, the knowledge is still there. It is accessing it that is a problem for those kinds of people. You can do further research on that. I'm not going to be going into that. Why I'm here, or the line of conversation I want us to have for the next few minutes, is why your mind is actually your biggest asset. In a research I did, I found out that according to the World Economic Forum, Over 65% of children entering the primary school, which is like basic education today, over 65 of them will work in jobs that don't exist. And for the ones who are on this stream who are older, you will remember a time whereby if you thought of being a content creator, you sounded like a mad person. If you ever said anything about working from home, you were delusional, you were insane to even conceive such an idea. Fast forward to today, those are some of the most lucrative businesses. Now, that same thing will happen to our generation. That in the future, those who are children now will be working in jobs we didn't even know was possible. They'll be working in jobs that our minds, natural minds to be precise, cannot conceive. So productivity is not just about waking up early, it's not just about doing many things. It's also about doing the right things, or it's much more about doing the right things repeatedly in the direction of purpose. It means your productivity is not just about now, but much more it's you training for a future that is fast evolving. And this will bring me to the point where I say that time combined with attention, but time is our only real capital. Time is the most democratic resource on earth. What that means is that everyone has the same 24 hours, but not everyone has the same value for their 24 hours. Not everyone uses it the same. I had a story of two children who grew up together. However, their paths separated, and one started running after fast food. The other one started reading, studying. The one that was reading and studying was said to have read over 600 books within a time frame, and the other one was there hustling for food, for survival, for sustenance. Remember, they had the same background. Only for them to meet a number of years down the line, and the one that was hustling, the one that was, hustling for food and all that, was worth about $7.50 per hour, while the same one that they grew up together, who gave himself to studying, to reading, was worth $200,000 per hour. Same background, different choices, different decisions, different usage of time and attention, different outcomes of life. Time is the only real capital. So, if we are being honest, we're a busy generation. We are busy. We're doing a lot of things. we are doing a lot of things, but we are not being productive. That's the truth of this generation. Again, speaking to people within the ages 13 to 39. Most people today, or most young people today, are busy and all, but we are not being productive. So we are everywhere doing everything, but we are not achieving anything because apart from time, our attention, our focus is not trained. We and the truth is, if your mind is not trained to focus, your hands will eventually work for those who can get their minds to focus. You must be able to so work on your mind, so train your attention, be so disciplined with your usage of time that you only use it for the things you want to use it for, not what someone wants you to use it for. Another thing that comes to mind is the fact that we live in a world where we are always comparing, where there is high competition. It doesn't matter where you are or where you are born, you are instantly, without your knowledge, without your input, you are instantly in competition with people you don't even know, people you've never even met from different part of the world. From the moment you're born, you instantly enter into a global competition. We don't care what resources you started with, we don't care what your background is. Instantly, that minute you are born, you enter into competition with your peers and more across the globe. But there is a way to escape competition. Competition exists, yes. Competition exists, but there is a way of escape. Now, there are a number of ways, but for the sake of this conversation, I would only mention two. First one is, oh no, I'll mention three. One, and the most important for me, is authenticity. Authenticity is the number one way of escaping competition. Now, what do I mean by authenticity? You can be very skilled, you can be a long term thinker, but you cannot be better at being myself than I can. My experiences, my background, my knowledge, my intuition, no matter how good you are, you can never replicate it. The same goes for you. Doesn't matter how excellent I become, the best I can be is the best version of myself. It doesn't matter how good I get, I cannot cross over my excellence into your personality, into your person, into you. No matter how good I get, how excellent I become, I cannot be you. Same goes for me. So one way to escape to escape competition is by authenticity, by becoming one of a kind, by latching on those things that make you stand out, that difference that you have from the rest of the world. Because one thing the world rewards amongst others is that you are different. So the more different you are, the more the world pays attention and the more they want to reward you. And that is one, authenticity. The second one is long term thinking. If you are authentic and if you are a long term thinker, most people can compete with you. In fact, I can boldly say that 90% of the world's population, you're already ahead of them by being authentically yourself and thinking long term. You're already ahead of 90%. But then the goal is not just being in the 10%, the goal is being in the 1%. That is where I will now add the third one, which is skill. Another word for skill is competence. Another word for competence is excellence. It is the combination of authenticity, long term thinking, and excellence, competence, or skill that you escape competition. No one can compete with someone who is excellent, someone who is excellent, who is skilled, who is competent, who thinks long term and is still unique. There is no competition anywhere for such a person. What am I trying to say? There is no need trying to copy others. There is no need trying to be like everyone else. Build your own lane, develop unique skill. That thing that makes you different is your advantage. Stop trying to be like everyone else. Build your own lane. Develop unique skill that the world needs but don't even realize they need it yet. So in a certain season, they will need exactly you. I have examples of this, but because we are a wide range of people from different backgrounds, I wouldn't want to say something that is not applicable to your background. But build your own lane, develop unique skill. Your difference is actually the advantage. Now we've spoken about excellence. I will now move on to what I would call strategic exposure. Still, we're still talking about this simple boy with a big dream. Next thing I'll talk about is strategic exposure. Because if you are competent, if you are authentic, if you think long term, but nobody knows you, you will not be patronized. Digital real estate is the future. Digital real estate is the future. Use your mind, use your knowledge, use your uniqueness to create digital value. Don't just scroll the internet, build on it. For example, you are watching this because I am gradually building on the internet. Don't just scroll the internet, build on it, document your journey, share your progress, multiply your impact, get known, get visible for your competence, get known for your uniqueness. And the reason why I am pointing this conversation in the direction of teenagers, youths, is because it is easier to get ahead early than it is to catch up. That's why this period of our lives, whether it's teenage years, whether it's your 20s, whether it's your early 30s up to 39, they are years of planting. They are seed years. They are not years to show. They are not years to fake what you are not. They are years to sow, years to plant. These are the years whereby you invest for the future that you want. Because the future is not coming, the future is being created. Every action you take today determines what the future would look like for you. So if you're doing nothing today, how do I politely say this? You have a nothing future. If you do not plant now, if you do not sow now, why are you expecting an harvest? Moving on, still talking about this simple boy with a big dream. Simple boy with a big dream. There are things or there are qualities that makes up the mind of a simple boy with a big dream. There are many, but for the sake of our conversation, I would boil them down to five. Number one is clarity. Clarity. And no, clarity is not knowing everything you want to do before you do it. Clarity is not having all the information perfectly organized before you start. No. Clarity is knowing enough to take your next move. But at least you must know in which direction you are going. You cannot move in the direction of a big dream if you do not know the direction. So you cannot be productive without direction, without knowing what you should do. Clarity is important for a simple boy, a simple girl that has a big dream. Second one is focus. Not everything is right for you. You can't do everything everyone else is doing. You cannot be engaged in every activity that everyone else is engaged in. Focus is doing less, but doing them better. Focus is you choosing the things you want to do and doing them very well. So you are not doing everything, badly. No, you are doing less, but you are doing it better. That is focus. Another thing a simple boy with a big dream must have is consistency. The way by which you get better is by starting, then improving, reiterating. It's not just consistency in terms of doing the same thing over and over again. What consistency in this context means is that you do something, you start an action, you get better, you improve on it, then you do it again. As you do it again, you get better, then you do it again. Repetition in this sense beats being motivated. And the next one is action. And that's where I'm going to come for people who are, would I call them the ideas people or the planners? Planning is beautiful, planning is good, but a terrible action is worth far more than the best plan. You can't plan forever. Stop planning forever. Start producing something today. A giant as big as Google still releases products with errors. Stop this plan. You've been planning for 10 years on an idea. Now you see a friend of yours that has carried out that same idea, and you're like, oh, I was thinking of this thing. No, thinking, planning is not the same thing as action. And it is the person who takes action that will reap the rewards on those ideas. Then lastly, another thing the simple boy with a big dream must have is resilience. If I want to make it very simple, it's that you must be stubborn. You must have a stubbornness that even negative circumstances only come to solidify your belief in that thing that is possible. So productivity for you also means bouncing back when life hits, because life will hit. If you combine these five I've mentioned so far, clarity, focus, consistency, action, and resilience, you become unstoppable. And it's not because you're perfect, but it's because you are disciplined. Now, let me be vulnerable with you. In the year 2020, like I said, I made my first million. However, 2 years later, not necessarily my fault, but 2 years later, I lost it all. Yes, I was no longer at the 1 million level, but 2 years down the line, I lost everything I had made. 2022, November 28th, was it? Was it 2022, 2021? There. I lost it all. I lost about $4,000 to $6,000. It was after that period that I realized that your real asset is not money. Your real asset is your mind. When I lost that money that year, there was a very few number of people that knew. So most people did not know. I kept smiling in public, but inside it was a battle. But now in hindsight, I can say I did not panic because my mind had been trained. I'd become someone who had a productive mind and not just a lucky boy. So I started again. I built again. And I'm coming back stronger. That's the power of a simple boy with a big dream. That's the power of a young one who has a productive mind. That even when the money is gone, the capacity remains. Even when the money is gone, the mindset stays. It's why I personally am a lover and pursuer of wisdom and understanding over money, finances, wealth. Because if I truly understand it, then I should be able to rebuild from scratch. I am able to replicate it as many times as I want to if I truly understand. But if it comes as a fluke, then I'm afraid of losing it because it is not who I am, it's not who I've become. When money leaves, your mindset stays. When money is gone, the capacity you've developed is what remains. Moving into my conclusion for today, I want to tell those of us who are perfectionists that it's a trap. Perfectionism is not the goal, excellence is. And perfectionism is that place whereby you want everything to be 100 before you move. There is no such thing. But excellence is you doing the best with the resources you have. Now, the beautiful thing about excellence is that as you grow, your definition of excellence changes. But you can be excellent from wherever you are now. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a focused mind. You don't need 100 people to support you. You need one reason to start. You don't necessarily have to start rich, but you have to actually start. There's a quote like this that says, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. So train your mind to think deeply, discipline your hands to work smart, teach your heart to stay hungry. Because that's what a simple boy with a big dream really has. You don't need permission. You can just do things. And the fact that this is streaming on Facebook, streaming on LinkedIn, streaming on YouTube, streaming on Twitch, streaming on Kick, streaming on Twitter, which is X, streaming on Instagram, is my sign to myself and to the world that you can just do things. You can actually just do things. You don't necessarily need to be loud, but you need to be clear on what you want to do. You are not too young. People who say you are too young, many times, those people are people who do not have worthwhile results in their life, or people who actually allowed fear cripple them. They're now the ones telling you that you are too young for certain things. You're not too young. You were chosen for such a time as this. You are right on time. The future we keep looking at, we keep waiting for, praying for, anticipating, doesn't belong to those who are waiting. It actually belongs to those who walk for that future while others are watching. You may be young, but you're not too early. The future is already watching. What are you building now for that future? A simple boy with a big dream. That's what I am, and that's what I hope that every young one between the ages of 18 to 39 would understand that it's the dreamers, it's the dreamers that own the world. Dreamers who act in accordance or in the direction of their dreams are the ones who will rule the world. Ideas, dreams rule the world, yes, but only when action is taken on them. So rise, chosen one, rise. And I'm saying this specifically to the African. Rise. You were born, you were chosen for such a time as this. It's something that rests upon you that the world needs. Don't die in the dark. Like a friend of mine would say, stop winking in the dark. Rise, chosen one. Heaven has called your name, heaven has chosen you. You're not too young, you're not too early. You are right on time. Well, that is all I want to say on this conversation of simple boy, big dream. And I hope someone on this stream today gets a vision or gets their dreams reignited in them, I hope you begin to dream again. I hope this time you even dream bigger. And then you now begin to take little steps towards that dream. I just hope, really, with all my heart. Right, so for the next 5 minutes, I will check in social media handles and for any comments that might be there. Okay, I don't think there's any on Facebook. And this is the point where if you have questions, you can also ask them, because in the next 4 minutes, this stream would be over. Mhm, 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 mhm. All right, it seems there are no questions. It seems there are no questions, or maybe I am not seeing the questions. But in case you have a question, you have a contribution, or you want us to work together, you can send an email to billionairebukumi@gmail.com. I would show it on the screen for the remaining 2 minutes we have. Give me a minute. Gmail.com. Oh, amazing. So, yep, billionairebukumi@gmail.com. If you have any contribution, any question, you want to send a review of this session, or you want to work together, please, the email on the screen, send me an email. I would genuinely, really love to read from you and see how we can work together. With that said, your simple boy with a big dream, hoping that he has reignited a big dream in you or caused you to dream big too. Signing out. Have a beautiful day. Now, I'm not sure if I'll do this tomorrow. Again, I'm not constraining myself to a schedule or telling myself it's a do or die affair. Nah. So I might show up tomorrow, I might not. Tomorrow will determine the evils of its own day. Have a good day, everyone. See you tomorrow if I come on. So bye for now, guys.